Ever been in an argument with a woman where, no matter what you say, you somehow end up wrong? What if I told you there's a 200-year-old playbook that guarantees you'll win every debate? German philosopher Arthur Schopenhauer wrote The Art of Being Right, 38 Dirty Debate Tricks to Crush Opponents. And today, we're adapting his most ruthless tactics for modern dating. But warning, this isn't about manipulation. It's about spotting when these tricks are used on you. Let's begin. Let's talk about 10 most popular and workable tricks one by one. Trick 1 is the straw man. Schopenhauer's first trick in debate is to twist someone's words to control the conversation. Instead of addressing what they actually said, you change their argument into something easier to attack. For example, if she says, "I wish you'd help more with chores," you respond, "Oh, so I never do anything? That's unfair." Now, instead of discussing the real issue, her request for more help, she has to defend against an exaggerated claim she never made. By shifting the focus to an extreme version of her point, you steer the debate away from the original problem. This tactic puts her on the defensive while keeping you in control of the argument. The key is to distort her words just enough to make her position seem unreasonable, forcing her to explain or backtrack rather than holding you accountable. In this way, you control the frame of the debate, and whoever controls the frame controls the fight. Trick 2 is shift the burden of proof. Schopenhauer's strategy flips the usual dynamic. Instead of defending yourself, make her prove why she's right. Most men instinctively try to justify their actions, but this puts them on the back foot. Instead, challenge her to back up her claims. For example, if she says, "You're always on your phone," you reply, "Really? Show me the data. How many hours a day?" Suddenly, the burden of proof shifts to her. Now she's the one scrambling for evidence while you stay relaxed. The rule is simple. Whoever makes the accusation must support it. If she can't provide facts, her argument weakens. This tactic forces her to either drop the issue or work harder to justify her complaint, while you avoid getting dragged into a defensive debate. By staying calm and demanding proof, you keep control of the conversation. The key is to let her do the explaining, because once she's stuck trying to prove her point, you've already gained the upper hand. Trick 3 is use her emotions against her. Schopenhauer understood that anger clouds judgment, so when she gets emotional, stay calm and let her lose control of the argument. If she raises her voice or gets frustrated, don't match her tone. Instead, keep your cool and watch as her anger makes her sound irrational. The more heated she becomes, the more unreasonable her points seem. Then, when the moment is right, say something like, "I want to understand, but you're too upset to talk clearly." Now, the focus shifts from the original issue to her emotional reaction. Instead of defending yourself, you appear patient and logical, while she looks unstable or overly dramatic. This tactic works because people who lose their temper often exaggerate, contradict themselves, or make weak arguments, making it easy for you to stay in control. By refusing to engage emotionally, you force her to either calm down, which weakens her stance, or keep escalating, which makes her look unreasonable. Either way, you win the debate without even having to argue. Trick 4 is the false dilemma. Schopenhauer's tactic forces her into a corner by reducing her argument to two impossible choices, neither of which helps her case. Instead of addressing her actual concern, you twist it into an extreme version that's easy to dismantle. For example, if she says, "You don't care about my feelings," you reply, "So if I'm not crying, I don't care? Should I scream to prove it?" Now, she's trapped. If she says yes, she sounds unreasonable. If she says no, she weakens her original point. This move shifts the focus away from your behavior and onto her logic, making her defend an exaggerated claim she never made. By framing the debate this way, you control the discussion while she struggles to find a way out. The key is to present her with lose-lose options, so no matter what she chooses, she looks irrational while you stay composed. This tactic works because it turns her valid emotions into a logical puzzle she can't solve, leaving you in control of the argument. Trick 5 is appeal to authority. Schopenhauer observed that people often defer to authority rather than reason, so use this to your advantage. When she makes a complaint, don't argue directly. Instead, quote an expert to override her point. For example, if she says, "We never go out," you reply, "Actually, relationship expert Dr. John Gottman says couples need alone time too." Suddenly, it's no longer a personal disagreement. It's her opinion versus established authority. This tactic works because challenging an expert feels harder than challenging you. Even if the quote is loosely related or taken out of context, the mere mention of a credible name adds weight to your side. She now has to either dispute the expert, which seems arrogant, or back down. Meanwhile, you appear reasonable and well-informed, as if your position is backed by research rather than just personal preference. By shifting the debate to a battle of credibility rather than feelings, you force her into a weaker position, where her emotions look subjective, while your argument seems objective and unshakable. Trick 6 is the personal attack. Schopenhauer's tactic shifts focus from the argument to the person making it. When you can't refute the point, attack her instead. For example, if she says, "You forgot our anniversary," you counter with, "Says the woman who missed my birthday last year." Now, instead of defending your mistake, you've turned the tables. The conversation is no longer about your oversight, but about her past behavior. This forces her to justify herself while your original slip-up gets buried. The strategy works because it derails the real issue. Suddenly, she's on the defensive, scrambling to explain her own flaws rather than holding you accountable. Even if her complaint was valid, the argument now revolves around her hypocrisy or mistakes, making your error seem minor in comparison. By redirecting criticism this way, you avoid admitting fault and keep her too busy defending herself to press the original point. The key is to stay calm while making the attack seem like a reasonable counter, not an angry deflection, so you appear logical while she looks emotional. Trick 7 is the silent treatment. Schopenhauer understood that silence often speaks louder than words. When she's making emotional accusations or lengthy arguments, resist the urge to interrupt or defend yourself. Instead, stay completely quiet. Just listen with steady eye contact. Most people can't handle this kind of silence. They'll rush to fill it, often revealing weaknesses in their own position. After she finishes, wait 5 full seconds before responding. In that tense pause, she might backtrack, over-explain, or even contradict herself. Then, calmly reflect back what you heard. So what you're really saying is... By mirroring her words this way, you force her to confront any flaws in her own logic while maintaining complete control. This tactic works because anger needs engagement to survive. Your silence starves it. Meanwhile, you appear thoughtful while she appears reactive. The person who speaks least in an argument usually holds the most power. Let her fill the silence with unforced errors while you simply observe and guide the conversation where you want it to go. Trick 8 is the bait and switch. Schopenhauer's tactic begins with a false agreement. You pretend to accept her point, only to dismantle it more effectively. Start by saying something like, "You're right about one thing," or "I see where you're coming from." This disarms her guard, making her think you're being fair. Then, pivot sharply with a "but" or "however" to reverse the momentum. For example, if she says, "You never listen," reply, "You're right, listening is important, which is why it's confusing that you interrupt me whenever I try to speak." Now, your apparent agreement has trapped her. If she insists listening matters, she must confront her own behavior. The fake concession makes you seem reasonable while exposing her hypocrisy. She expected resistance, not a tactical surrender that flips the script. This works because people drop their defenses when they think they've won, only to face a counterattack they never saw coming. The key is delivering the reversal calmly, so your strike lands harder after the setup. Trick 9 is the endless loop. Schopenhauer understood a simple truth. When you repeat something relentlessly, it starts to sound true, no matter how weak the argument. Instead of getting drawn into complex debates, Just restate your position over and over. For example, if she says, "You never help around the house," reply with, "I do my share," and keep saying it no matter what she argues. Don't explain, don't justify, just repeat. Eventually, frustration will wear her down. She'll either give up or lose her temper, making her look irrational while you appear calm and consistent. This works because most arguments aren't won by logic but by stamina. The longer you hold your ground without engaging, the more exhausted she becomes trying to reason with someone who won't budge. By refusing to play her game, you force her to either accept your stance or spiral into anger, both of which leave you in control. Repetition is a blunt weapon, but an effective one. It turns debate into endurance, and endurance favors the stubborn. Final trick is the nuclear option. Schopenhauer's most powerful tactic doesn't counter arguments. It exposes their foundation. When she complains, respond with a single, devastating question that forces her to defend everything at once. For example, if she says, "You're so selfish," ask, "What exactly makes someone selfish in your mind?" Now she must define morality itself, not just your behavior. She'll either tie herself in knots trying to explain or retreat into vague emotional claims, both of which weaken her position. This works because most people argue from habit, not principle. They've never examined their own standards. By demanding that justification, you shift the burden from your actions to her philosophy. Suddenly, she's not just criticizing you. She's defending an entire belief system she may not have fully considered. The more abstract the question, the harder she'll struggle to answer without contradictions. Stay silent after asking. Let her fill the void with unconvincing explanations. One well-placed question can collapse an entire argument when it reveals she's never truly thought it through. Look, these tricks work. But ask yourself, do you want to win arguments or have a happy relationship? Schopenhauer was a genius, but also a lonely, bitter man. Use these to defend yourself, not attack her. Drop a comment, which trick hit hardest? And if you want the full 38 tactics, smash like and I'll make a part 2. Until then, debate smarter, not harder.